Next on Currents News, an upheaval at the Vatican's women's magazine. The founder and top staff have quit in protest. All criminal charges are dropped in the Jussie Smollett case after he was accused of staging a hate crime.
A new science lab at one Catholic high school teaches students a unique way to plant, and it focuses on the Holy Father's mission of protecting the environment. I'm Tim Harfman, and that story is coming up.
Plus, the Pope pulls back when pilgrims attempt to kiss his ring. We'll have the story behind the Holy Father's actions. The news starts right now. Good evening, everyone. I'm Liz Faublas. There is a major upheaval at the Vatican's women's magazine. The founder and the entire editorial board have quit. In a letter to Pope Francis, editor-in-chief of Women Church World, Lucetta Scarafia, complained of being marginalized, something the Vatican press office is denying. Currents News' Emily Druby reports the latest on the controversy.
Lucetta Scarafia, one of the most prominent women working at the Vatican, has quit, along with the entire female editorial board of the publication she founded. Women Church World is the Vatican's women's magazine, published monthly by the Vatican's newspaper L'Osservatore Romano. The magazine was created 7 years ago under Pope Benedict. Ms. Scarafia said that until recently, Women Church World had editorial independence and support from Benedict and then from Francis. But she claims after a new man took over the L'Osservatore Romano newspaper, there was a campaign to discredit them that increased after her publication denounced the sexual abuse of nuns by clergy. There were also attempts to put the women's magazine under the direct control of men. In an interview with the Associated Press, Scarafia said, after the attempts to put us under control came the indirect attempts to delegitimize us, explaining different articles were written for L'Osservatore with a, quote, editorial line opposed to ours. She said that practice undermined the women's magazine and its freedom to speak freely. Pope Francis has frequently urged women receive important roles within the church and was said to be an admirer of the magazine. Sister Marianne Lopiccolo is the delegate for religious in the Diocese of Brooklyn. She knows what it's like to be a high-ranking woman working for the church, calling the magazine itself influential.
It's been effective, and it's been recognized as the complementary women's voice in the church coming from Vatican publications. I think that holds a prestigious place.
Sister Lopiccolo adding she has always felt valued in the church.
I have never felt disrespected. I have never felt not listened to. I feel sad for these women, but for our reality, it's not something that's here in our diocese.
The resignations were announced in the planned April 1st edition of the magazine and in an open letter to Pope Francis. Currents News did reach out to Scarafia for comment but have yet to hear back. In a statement to the AP, the man in charge of L'Osservatore, Andrea Monda, denied meddling with the magazine, adding he has supported its autonomy. Emily Druby, Currents News.
The departures are the latest changes in the Vatican's communications operations. The Vatican spokesman and his deputy resigned last December. A major development this morning from the White House in support of the sanctity of life. The U.S. is cutting off financial assistance to foreign organizations that perform or promote abortion. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said health care for women will not suffer.
This administration has shown that we can continue to meet our critical global health goals, including providing health care for women, while refusing to subsidize the killing of unborn babies. As Secretary of State, I've directed our team to take all appropriate action to implement this policy to the broadest extent possible.
Pompeo said the U.S. would also reduce funding for the Organization of American States for promoting abortion, citing the Mexico City policy, which requires organizations to pledge that they won't perform or promote any abortions. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy said he plans to sign a bill legalizing assisted suicide in the state. Murphy is acting after the proposal passed the state legislature on Monday. New Jersey will join 6 other states and the District of Columbia that have similar laws. The bill allows adults with a prognosis of 6 months or less to live to get life-ending medication. President Donald Trump is calling for the end of the Affordable Health Care Act, including protections for people with pre-existing conditions and the expansion of Medicaid. Millions of Americans have health insurance through what is commonly known as Obamacare. Kristen Holmes reports from Washington.
The Republican Party will soon be known as the party of healthcare. You watch.
Healthcare back center stage after a major reversal from the Trump administration.
The Trump Justice Department is once again launching an assault on health care in the United States of America.
The president has always been very clear that he wanted to repeal Obamacare.
The Justice Department now calling for the entire Affordable Care Act to be eliminated, including the expansion of Medicaid and the law protections for people with pre-existing conditions, which President Trump said he would protect.
We will always protect Americans with pre-existing conditions. We're going to take care of them.
The shift coming after a federal court in Texas invalidated Obamacare in its entirety. In a letter Monday night, the administration said it is not urging any portion of the district court's judgment to be reversed. Today, Democrats announcing a new plan protecting those with pre-existing conditions.
In this House, with a Democratic majority, we're here to strengthen those protections and to lower health care costs.
Striking down the Affordable Care Act would put health care in jeopardy for millions of Americans. In Washington, Kristen Holmes, Currents News.
Rockland County has declared a state of emergency because of a widespread outbreak of measles. Beginning at midnight tonight, anyone under the age of 18 who is not vaccinated against the disease will be banned from public places. The ban will be in effect for at least the next 30 days or until people get vaccinated. As of last Thursday, there are 151 confirmed cases of the measles in Rockland County. A man who lost his daughter in the Sandy Hook school massacre has apparently taken his own life. Jeremy Rickman's 6-year-old daughter was among the victims killed during the school rampage in 2012. Following the tragedy, he co-founded the Upheaval Foundation to focus on thwarting violence through research and community action. He spoke about his work in 2018.
We're going to create a curriculum to recognize the signs and symptoms of the risk factors that lead to violence and how to engender and build the protective factors that ensure compassion, kindness, connection, and resilience.
His body was found in his Connecticut office on Monday. Authorities say there are no signs of foul play. Catholic Charities of Brooklyn and Queens maintains a call center to help prevent suicide. The call center is at 718-722-6001 and has trained specialists able to immediately assist someone in crisis by linking them to a mental health professional. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 800-273-8255 provides support for people in distress and for their loved ones. Pope Francis went to Rome's City Hall this morning and urged residents of the Eternal City to care for one another. He also said Rome is a city of bridges and not walls. Melissa Butts is in Rome.
Pope Francis once again left the Vatican today for a political visit in the heart of Rome, here at the City Hall. Pope Francis met Rome's Mayor Virginia Raggi at Capitol Hill. She showed Pope Francis the facilities where she organizes all government tasks for one of the largest cities in all of Europe.
È un onore per me accoglierla in Campidoglio ed è con profonda e sincera emozione che le do il benvenuto in quest'Aula. A nome di tutti I cittadini di Roma.
The Pope recalled a bit of history to ask the citizens to respect and care for one another.
Roma, città dei ponti, mai dei muri. Roma, lungo I suoi quasi 2800 anni di storia, ha saputo accogliere e integrare diverse popolazioni e persone provenienti da ogni parte del mondo.
Pope Francis said Rome is a huge treasure chest of spiritual, historical, artistic, and institutional treasures. Addressing the public from Capitol Hill, he could see Michelangelo's dome and the Colosseum.
Vorrei chiedere a ciascuno di voi, secondo le proprie capacità, di prendervi cura l'uno dell'altro, di stare vicini gli uni agli altri, di rispettarvi a vicenda.
Pope Francis concluded the visit by affirming the city's administrative staff of their dignity in improving the city of Rome. The visit's coming at a time when Rome is experiencing a little bit of decay, with excessive potholes and trash piling up. So Pope Francis mentioned the highlights and the good aspects of the city. In Rome, Melissa Butts, Currents News. Back to you in New York, Liz.
Thank you, Melissa. President Trump's southern border wall is getting a big boost from the Pentagon. $1 billion from the military budget has been authorized for new construction. The funds go to build 57 miles of fencing, improve roads, and other measures on the U.S.-Mexico border. The money came from a military personnel account, but Acting Secretary of Defense Patrick Shanahan told Congress this morning that the decision was difficult. It could impact future choices for Pentagon funding. Military tensions are high tonight between Israel and the terrorists of Hamas. Rockets have been flying across the Gaza border, and Israel is beefing up the area with heavy armor. Israel has sent tanks to the border. The fighting began when a surprise Hamas rocket attack slammed into central Israel and injured 7 people on Monday morning. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu cut short his visit to Washington and back home issued a warning.
I can tell you, we are prepared to do a lot more. We will do what is necessary to defend our people and to defend our state.
Netanyahu has also said that Israel is responding to the rocket attacks with great force on a scale not seen since the war in 2014. Another major story has been developing throughout the day. All criminal charges against TV actor Jussie Smollett have been dropped. The action comes just weeks after Smollett was accused of staging a hate crime and filing a false police report. Natasha Chen has the latest.
This is a whitewash of justice.
Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel erupted after Illinois prosecutors dropped all charges against Jussie Smollett and sealed the record in the case that has twisted and turned public opinion since January.
I've been truthful and consistent on every single level since day one. I would not be my mother's son if I was capable of one drop of what I have been accused of.
But the Chicago police superintendent is standing behind police findings.
If you want to say you're innocent of a situation, then you take your day in court.
Saying Smollett paid 2 brothers $3,500 to stage an attack against him on January 29th.
The Ondero brothers said more than once that the $3,500 check they received was for exactly what Jussie said. It was for nutrition and training. They were his trainers.
In February, prosecutors said Smollett directed the entire thing, telling the brothers exactly what to say and do, including using a racial slur and making a reference to Make America Great Again. At the time, investigators said Smollett staged the attack because he was dissatisfied with his salary on the show Empire. After Smollett's arrest led him to being cut from the final 2 episodes of the show, Smollett said he would like nothing more than to get back to work and move on.
But make no mistakes, I will always continue to fight for the justice, equality, and betterment of marginalized people everywhere.
Natasha Chen, Currents News.
There's a lot more news headed your way. The excellence of Catholic education grows stronger at a Brooklyn high school that has a state-of-the-art lab. We'll take a look at how the students are using the new age technology. And the story of the man who made history after being awarded the Global Teacher Prize for 2019. He's a Franciscan. Plus, Pope Francis pulled his hand back from pilgrims in Loretto. We'll have the story behind the Holy Father's actions. Do you have a story idea or want to share a tip? Email us at newstips@desalesmedia.org or call our 24-hour number 718-517-3122. We will be right back. St. Xavier High School in Brooklyn is breaking down barriers in the study of new ways to save the environment. The students are learning in a state-of-the-art lab how to master the science of growing plants without soil. Currents News' Tim Harfman reports.
1, 2, 3. A new science classroom, nourishing young minds and the environment. At St. Xavier in Park Slope, Brooklyn, the all-girls Catholic high school unveils its hydroponic lab.
It's like a really environmentally friendly way to farm without taking up much space and bringing fruits and vegetables to kitchens in urban areas all year round.
The hands-on technology involves soilless planting to grow everything from spinach and lettuce to cucumbers and eggplants. But the lab teaches more than farming.
The hydroponic lab has really made everybody kind of come alive in a sense, and it's really brought an environment of not just awareness of what's going on in the world, but also like fun.
We learn about the environment and how it affects our daily life, and it also talks about climate change and how to prevent it from happening or how to decrease it.
And it echoes Pope Francis's mission to care for God's creations. Brooklyn Auxiliary Bishop James Massa blesses the lab, sprinkling the well-lit space with holy water. He says the project follows the Holy Father's encyclical Laudato Si.
One can be contemporary and deeply committed to the care for the environment, at the same time be rooted in our Catholic values and our Catholic faith.
The initiative is a collaboration with NY Sunworks, a nonprofit organization devoted to bringing innovative science labs into urban schools. This vibrant little laboratory is dedicated to Roberta Willard, a retired teacher who was at the forefront of bringing environmental science to St. Xavier students over 3 decades ago.
Nature surrounds us and Earth is our home, and so the responsibilities that we have get passed on from one generation to the other.
Eileen Cush is part of that next generation, teaching current students about the importance of saving the environment.
Maybe they won't go out into the world and actually hydroponically farm, but perhaps they will be inspired to and become engineers, innovators.
Everything students grow will be donated to CHIPS, a Brooklyn soup kitchen founded by Catholics, which serves nearly 350 meals a day. The students of St. Xavier are now enjoying the real fruits of their labor, the chance to help save the planet in one small way while continuing to grow in their Catholic faith. In Park Slope, Tim Harfman, Currents News.
A Kenyan Franciscan has been awarded the Global Teacher Prize. Peter Tabichi teaches high school science in the village of Pwani, where about a third of the children are orphans and drought and famine are common. Tabichi was recognized by the Varkey Foundation for his work and for giving away 80% of his monthly income to help his students. Kenya's president congratulated him.
You are a shining example of what the human spirit can achieve, not just for Kenya, not just for Africa, but for the world.
The Global Teacher Prize is committed to improving the status of teachers around the world. The Franciscan received a $1 million prize along with the award. He's going to use the money to improve his school and feed the poor. An unusual sight as the Holy Father pulled back his papal ring from pilgrims who want to kiss it. This happened yesterday when Francis was at the Shrine of Loreto in central Italy. The incident sparking a lot of conversation and also a bit of controversy. The national correspondent for the Tablet and Crux, Christopher White, is here to talk about what many other people are talking about. Christopher, thank you so much for being with us. As with everything we do, context, okay? So let's work on that. We know that the Holy Father is quite humble and he's very reserved. Is this the first time that we've seen the Pope shy away from having people kiss his ring?
Liz, actually, no. Pope Francis has done this repeatedly throughout his papacy, and it's important to note that he's not the first. Both Pope John Paul II and Benedict XVI did the same. Yesterday, this video that's kind of gone viral, kind of captured only 15 or 20 seconds of what happened. It's important to remember this was also a very long procession of pilgrims coming to greet him. And quite frankly, the Pope had probably just gotten tired and was trying to sort of, bring down the pomp and circumstance a bit.
He's allowed. He's absolutely allowed, especially if it had been going on for some time. Now, how does what we just saw in that video underscore the Pope's aim, as he has said so many times before, to demystify the papal office?
Yes. So Pope John Paul II, when he traveled around the world, he decided not to take the papal throne with him, and he donned the Pope Mobile so that he could be closer to the people. This is Pope Francis trying to sort of get rid of the unnecessary servitude of the office, and kind of rid it of its archaic structures, and to be a pope who is with the people.
How does he have the people around him? How does he encourage them to do that so that everybody's on the same page?
Well, one of the things that was sort of has come out after this recent controversy is the fact that really the master of ceremonies at the Vatican should probably do a better job of communicating to pilgrims in advance as to sort of the proper protocol and what the Pope does and doesn't prefer, so that we can avoid this in the future.
So now, having said that, do you think there will be some kind of procedure or some kind of guidelines put in place, again, so that this doesn't occur or it's not misinterpreted the way it has been?
Yeah, and it's important to note that it's not part of any formal procedure that is on the books right now that you have to kiss the Pope's ring. It's just kind of a custom. And I think what we can probably expect going forward is a kind of, whisper in the ear of people before they meet the Pope that it's okay just to greet him and have an encounter rather than an act of submission.
All right, Christopher, thank you so much for giving us that perspective. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Still to come on Currents News, a local nonprofit is on a mission to help struggling communities receive the gift that is essential to life. A look at their latest fundraiser. And a Jewish chef from Iraq is drawing inspiration for his restaurant from the Bible. We'll be right back. The well-known nonprofit organization From Here to Haiti is on a mission to bring fresh water to struggling communities through their H2O for Haiti initiative. Now, to that end, the youth group from St. Luke's School in Whitestone, Queens, joined family and friends to serve up a major fundraising effort. They dished out hot, delicious soup and biscuits to parishioners and raised nearly $900. The money will go toward building the first freshwater well in a small remote village in southern Haiti. Good for them. A restaurant in Jerusalem prides itself on serving biblical foods. The chef, Moshe Bassan, uses the Holy Bible for inspiration when creating his menus, and he also counts on the influence of his mother and his grandmother.
I love the Bible. I love the Bible.
Not far from the most sacred places in Jerusalem are exquisite dishes made with biblical ingredients, food cooked with artisan methods using herbs and spices. The owner of this biblical-themed restaurant is Moshe Bassan, a Jewish chef from Iraq. He specializes in ancient cuisine from the Middle East. It could even be said that he's an expert in archaeological gastronomy.
So I'm finding the connections. I'm taking the hyssop that in the story of the Bible, Moses commanding the Israelites when they're leaving Egypt to take a bunch of hyssop to mark the door with 3 points with the blood of the lamb. The sign for the angel not to kill these people.
Since 2001, Moshe has been part of an initiative called Chefs for Peace. It's a group of around 30 Arab, Israeli, Jewish, Muslim, and Christian cooks. They all agree that sitting at a table and sharing a good meal can build bridges of peace and dialogue.
I start making the food of my mother and her mother, my grandmother, and mothers from the region.
In his restaurant, the Eucalyptus, people from all over the world and all religions sit together. He says that good gastronomy does not know creed, race, or nationality.
Food brings people together. When you're satisfied, when you eat, you open your mouth. You open your mouth, you also talk. When there is a separation between people, there will be hateness, that will be troubles and problems.
Chef Bassan hopes his diners get a taste of a land where everyone is welcome. That is Currents News. I'm Liz Faublas. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.